Hello, my name is Douglas Bloch. Welcome to the Depression Recovery Channel, where each week we talk about practical tools and coping strategies for healing from depression and anxiety. Today is Flashback Friday, a feature in which I republish one of my earlier videos you might not have seen that contains really important coping strategies that will help you attain a better mood. Now here's today's video. The title of today's talk is, Are You Living in the Future? Before we find out, of course, we have to tell our jokes. They're really puns, and these puns that coming up are about food, all given to me by my live chat audience. If you wanted to join our virtual community, just show up at my YouTube homepage at noon Pacific time every Sunday, and you can join right in. So here's the first pun. Did you hear about the new restaurant that opened on the moon? The food is great, but it has no atmosphere. All right, here's the second food joke. I'm a food engineer, one of my friends is, and he told me, you've heard of fake news? Well, there's also fake food. And then he asked me, what is a fake noodle? I said, I don't know. He said, it's an impasta. All right, so as we were talking about, today is, what is today? It's February 4th, 2020. Oh my goodness. What a cool year. We had 2 days ago, we had 2020. It was the first palindrome year for the Brits and the United States in 911 years, where you go backwards and forwards, same date. Anyway, about a little over a month ago, one of my heroes, a guy named Baba Ram Dass, died. He was 88. It was right around the winter solstice, and he was famous for a book that really changed a lot of people in my generation, got us on the spiritual path. The book is called Be Here Now. It's still in print, and you'll see it on the screen, and it's really, really cool. And what the premise of the book is that the best way to achieve spiritual enlightenment or spiritual awareness is to always live in the present moment. And to prove his point in his lectures, he gave the following demonstration or exercise. Okay, set your alarm clock on your iPhone or your refrigerator, digital clock, or whatever you want to do. Set it, say, till 4 in the afternoon. When the alarm goes off, ask yourself, where am I? Well, the answer is here. What time is it? The answer is now. Now set the alarm for like 2:30 in the morning. You're snoring, you're waking up, and suddenly you hear the alarm. Where am I? Well, I'm here. What time is it? It's now. Try it again for 5 o'clock on, a month from now. 1 month from now, 5 p.m., again, the alarm goes off. Again, where am I? Here. What time is it now? So this just shows that we're always in the here and now. And I just remembered there's a very famous book written by Eckhart Tolle called The Power of Now, and maybe that's why it was so successful, because he was tapping into that truth. The reason that the books Be Here Now and The Power of Now are so important is because they talk about being in the present, and unfortunately, human beings find that very difficult. Now, why is that? It's because we have something called the prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain. It's located right here. And this thinking brain is really cool because it allows us to set goals, plan for the future, look at different outcomes, and then choose what's best. But that also has its downside. And that's because when we think about the future, right, we can also think about not just the good stuff, but the bad stuff. And because we're hardwired to survive by fear, remember when we were running around the Serengeti and animals were chasing us, oftentimes what we see in the future is mostly negative. Now, here's an example. Let's say you're walking in Yellowstone. When I was in my 20s, I loved to hike the national parks. And one day, actually, this is true, I woke up and there was a black bear on top of me. Fortunately, they're harmless compared to grizzly bears. I jumped up. Oh my God, the black bear ran off, and that was a close one. Now, the next night as I was going to sleep, what do you think I was thinking? Oh my God, what if I wake up the next day and there's a black bear? Even though I'd been hiking for years, that had never happened. So what I was doing was projecting myself into an imaginary future that had not occurred yet, and it was giving me all sorts of fits and making it really difficult for me to go to sleep. Now, what was happening? I was having anxiety, and anxiety has to do with anticipating about the future, anticipating about something that has not yet happened. It's like I stepped into a time machine and went to the future of the next morning when the bear would be there. I read science fiction when I was a kid. I loved it, and they said there was no such thing as time travel. Well, there is. We do it all the time when we project ourselves into the future while our body is still here in the present. And when that happens, you have something called the anxiety gap. And the more unpleasant the things are in the future, the more anxious you are. And we have a word for that. It's called worry. Some people are worryaholics. It's a trained thing, and but all human beings do it to some extent. And of course, there's a whole spectrum of worry, and when it becomes too extreme, people are even afraid to go out of their house lest something bad happens. That's called agoraphobia. So now I'd like you to do a simple exercise. Close your eyes and ask yourself this question: how much time do I spend imagining myself in the future? And when I'm there, how do I feel? Oftentimes there will be a tinge of anxiety or fear. So I'm going to share with you an exercise that I used when my anxiety gap and the fear I felt was life-threatening. And that's when I had a really bad depressive episode many years ago, and I was suicidal, because what would happen is I would look into the future and see only more and more pain, a never-ending pain, eternal hell. And I said to myself, hey, if this is the way it's going to be, I'm out of here. So I told this to my therapist, and she came up with an idea, a 3-part exercise I'm going to share with you. We call it Back to the Present. It's a takeoff on the movie that was very popular decades ago called Back to the Future. And this Back to the Present exercise to return yourself to the here and now consists of 3 steps. I'm going to share them with you right now. Number 1, notice what is happening. Become aware that your mind is dwelling on thoughts of catastrophe and doom. Identify the worrisome thought, such as, I'll never get better, or I'll lose my job, or I'll lose my house, or I'll end up on the streets, or I'm going to break up with my girlfriend or boyfriend, anything you're worrying about. Number 2, realize that these thoughts are not about the present moment, but about the future. And since the future has not yet occurred, it cannot harm you. It's just something in your imagination. Number 3, refocus onto the present moment through positive self-talk and constructive action. For example, you might replace the statement, I'll never get better, with, what self-care strategy can I do now? Like calling a friend, going for a swim, taking an anti-anxiety medication if you're anxious. What can I do right now to get me through this period? Then put that strategy into action. I cannot tell you how many times this simple exercise helped me to manage my catastrophic and potentially dangerous thinking. So, Back to the Present is the name of the exercise, and I suggest that you try it out whenever you find yourself dwelling too much in the future. So remember this: what you worry about is not real, and most of what you worry about will never take place. Perhaps this is why Mark Twain said at the end of his life, I love this quote, I'm an old man and have known a great many troubles, but most of them never happened. This has been Douglas Bloch. I hope you found the information on this Flashback Friday video helpful. If so, please give it a like, as likes draw more and more people to this channel and hopefully some more subscribers. You can also leave your comments in the comments section or email me, douglasbloch@gmail.com. If you do want to subscribe to this channel, click on my photo in the closing credits. You'll be taken to my subscribe page. And if you click on the bell to the right, you'll be notified every time I do a new video or live chat. And if you want to contribute to this channel and become a patron, simply click on the Patreon image. You'll be taken to my crowdfunding site. And until next video, I wish you the best in your mental health recovery. Thank you so much.